Our next presenter is Jackie Kay on the topic WA Best Practice in Packaging. Jackie has more than 20 years of brand management across brand strategy, development and communications across numerous dairy categories, and has also led key sustainability projects in the sector. Since coming to Perth 10 years ago, Jackie spent most of her years working at Browns Dairy. Please join me in welcoming Jackie to the stage.
Thank you very much. Because it's just stolen my thunder with my best practice case study. But anyway, what I really wanted to talk first about, how do I click this? Is just explore the consumer lens a little bit. And I know that a few people have touched on it, but I think it's really, really important because I'm a brand marketer and you're always led by what the consumer's thinking and what the consumers are doing. And so it's really important. There's lots of different studies that tell you this. But first of all, it's really important to recognise that consumers see value in a brand showing commitment to sustainability. They think it adds to brand value. Secondly, they claim that they're happy to pay more, whether or not that's right. It's important to note that they're seeing the value being added. So consumers see it as the job of not just governments but also brands to bring them sustainable solutions. We've got to make these things available for consumers so that they can get involved. And not only that do we have to bring them, but if we don't bring those sustainable solutions, there's actually a risk that consumers will go, actually, I'm going to go elsewhere, I'm going to buy a different brand. And the risk is not confined to consumers. The retailers, obviously, there's a risk there that you'll be deranged and you're no longer on your shelf. And we all know that has a huge impact on everyone's business if that happens to you in the food and beverage business. But also there's a risk of regulation now as well. So that's coming very quickly at us. So all those things are really important to note. So sustainability is now a cornerstone of brand strategy. It's really important as food processors now that we all integrate sustainability as part of our messaging and our communications, and we weave that through. Most consumers are not necessarily going to seek out your sustainability report and interrogate it in depth, but some will, and it's really important that you've got your fact base there and that any claims you are making are well substantiated. You would have all heard the term greenwashing. We definitely do not want to be doing that. But the next question is, how do we explain sustainability? Like, obviously, this is not a very consumer-friendly thing to be explaining to people. But the really great thing about sustainable packaging is that it's really, really tangible for consumers. And that's because they're able to look at it, they're able to go into the supermarket, pick it up, feel it, touch it. It might sit on their bench at home, they can read it, they see it when they open the fridge, and then hopefully they can even participate in the journey and put it in the recycling bin or take it to the containers for change or whatever happens there. So it's a really great way for consumers to get involved. And the other thing is that, like some presenters have already sort of alluded to, packaging and sustainability do go hand in hand. So packaging is should be designed to reduce food waste. It's there for food safety. It allows us to transport our food around and makes it fit for purpose for our consumers. So what are food manufacturers doing about sustainability? And I'm surprised nobody's mentioned APCO so far because it's a voluntary covenant that's been put together by the Australian food and packaging manufacturers, and basically it provides targets for the food industry to work towards. And this is just a little excerpt which I thought explains the pathway to packaging sustainability really well. And you can see that there's a lot of steps before we get to the consumer. the great thing is that Australian food manufacturers have recognised that consumers want to do the right thing and they want sustainable packaging solutions. And so now we have to work out a way to get there with them. And you'll see that buying from some responsible suppliers is the first one. And I think that was really, really pivotal to the journey with the sustainable cartons that Vic has mentioned just now when we were at Browns, because having the technology and the research and all those data proof points are crucial in delivering sustainable packaging. If you're not able to access packaging that's designed to be sustainable, that has sustainable content, then you're not able to deliver that for your consumers. So here's our case study. The Humble Carton. Who would have thought that the Humble Carton, that actually WA is one of the biggest states for cartons, gable-top cartons in Australia. WA people love it for their white milk and for flavoured milk. Obviously, everyone loves a bit of flavoured milk here. Who would have thought that it would be the winner of numerous global packaging awards, national packaging awards, marketing awards? It's so simple and familiar, but that is actually the great thing about it. Because when you're talking about white milk, there was a huge risk involved for the Browns business in terms of making a change to their flagship range. Like, these are some of the biggest selling lines in the business, and it's a huge risk to go from something that's white to something that's brown. It looks very, very different. It's quite a different consumer experience. So there was certainly a significant risk there. But at the same time, there's also a real opportunity to elevate the sustainability status of the brand. So definitely a risk worth taking. I guess the really big thing with milk also is that milk is a category that people don't want you messing with. They don't want you messing with their milk. They're really happy with it the way it is. They love milk. They've had it since they were a child. Sometimes it's the first food you're giving to your kids. You really don't want people messing around with it. So having a familiar vessel that consumers trust for their milk was really, really important. So from a food safety perspective, a vessel that has these sustainability credentials, that contains the renewable or recycled content, is recyclable in Australia, and also would work within the supply chain constraints. Like, it's got to be able to fit in the fridge at every little milk bar. It's got to be able to go in the fridge at home. It's got to be able to fit in our wonderful reusable milk crates. It's it's got to work within your supply chain. And the next part is the sustainability proof points. And I won't go into this too much, but Tetra did an amazing amount of work on life cycle analysis, and that huge body of work was really what underpinned all of the claims that we were able to make in terms of the source of materials, and the energy used, all those sorts of things, the distribution impact, the product to pack ratios, and the recyclability. And so when you're communicating all these messages, simplicity is really, really key. What was great about the brown board cartons was they were like a beacon of hope, really, I guess, in the milk aisle. You know, you're just confronted with this sea of white. And then there was these brown board cartons. And if you pick them up and you feel them, they instantly make you think of sustainability. And we were able to then use that look and that feel along with all of the proof points that Tetra had helped us work through, and use them across digital, outdoor, PR, TV, and we partnered with Trillion Trees. But also, more importantly, ongoing, we've been able to integrate the communications into the Brown School Tubes program that touches 8,000 students every year. They go into the kitchen that's been purpose-built with the Save Board board that's recycled cartons in there. They can touch it, they can feel it, they can hear the sustainability story, and it's incredibly impactful. So looking forward, I refer back to ATCO, and there are some very, very ambitious targets for ATCO, as you can see. Industry collaboration is absolutely key. A great supplier that you can work with. Tetra helped us with the claims. There's also a lot of work that Tetra are doing, obviously, in recycling, all sorts of other things. Ultimately, we need a lot more of that industry collaboration. There's all sorts of working groups that are going on, but making sure that there's something that actually getting a lot of traction. And also recycling infrastructure is probably the most important thing, but we're lacking a fair bit in WA.